Hey Roz, congratulations. I, hopefully this is not an error. We'll find out Monday, but um, supposedly this would be your last class. It just seems like it hasn't been that long, but maybe it has. So it's probably just me. But anyway, welcome. I got my little, inspiration thing I do every week at the end of this for you. So, but anyway, so this is the capstone course, and so this is basically rounding up everything you've done in the other courses, putting it into action. So week one here, you got quite a few little things to do here. You got little, exercises. Um, you don't have to do the intro because it's just you and me. And but you still do your discussion every week. So down here, discussion. Do your post on reply to the video, and you'll be good there. Your assignment. All right, so every week, uh, and let me back up, okay? But basically, from week one, two, three, and four, you're doing a different part of your project. So instead of having to do, it's actually working every week. We had one other course where we kind of did the same thing, where every week you were just adding to the same document. So this is the same thing here. So this is, the main. So when you go in here, you got you got the instructions here, all the courses you've taken, and then the instructions on your topic. All right, like picking a company and the paper. Minimum is about 20 pages, max is 35, and then there's also a presentation you do with it. All right. Some students take the company they work with if they have access to things like financials and things like that. So if you're, if the owners or the people who run your company will let you have that access, that because that is something you can use for the company. Like I said, the very first part is your statement of the problem, um, right down here. So a lot of students, the company they work for, they do the project on. So if you're able to do that, good. But again, and so when you're doing this paper, you got to remember two things. One is the paper is the paper. It's something that the people you are going to present to would be looking at, reviewing, flipping through the pages. Your presentation is you are summarizing that paper into slides. So each of those slides, you have bullet points. You don't have these big, long paragraphs on a slide. You have, a sentence or so for each point. And then in the notes part of your presentation, you have what you would actually say out loud to your audience. If you're giving this to the board of directors, and there's 5 or 10 of them in there, what are you actually going to say out loud to them, and how are you going to say it? So that's where the notes part of the presentation is, and then the slides just gives them a visual, and so they know what you're talking about. Okay, so and like I said, it's all in here. Uh, Assuming you're listening to this, do not do the executive summary. You don't need to do that because you'll just kind of repeat it in the introduction. All right, so you don't need to do the executive summary. Okay, so that shortens up quite a bit. So you do your intros and then the statement of the problem and analysis. So each week you're doing a different part of this. All right, so as you go each week, you should be okay. So I'll stop now because I've gotten past a few minutes already. And we'll just, get in touch during the week if you got questions or anything. Otherwise, I will let you go. I'll show you my little test question here. 4-year-old grandkid, what's he doing? And there's the other one. So, all right. Okay, hope you had a good weekend and have a great upcoming week. And if you got any questions, just let me know. And that'll do it. Welcome to week one of the next course here. Before we get into the course, I will do a quick, my topic for the week, which happens to be embracing change. All right, so I just came up with this topic because, sometimes we have difficulty with, what I call embracing change, keeping up with, how things change. I got these images here of, the past and the current, like, assembly line work. Years ago there was the Industrial Revolution, and throughout history things always constantly change, and that's my point for this. Whether it be assembly lines, communication, things like just something like mail. Mail carried over, on ships. The Pony Express back in the 1860s, which was something that only lasted about 18 months, but that was a very efficient way of delivering mail, where they had I guess the cowboys, ride the horses, X number of miles, and they would literally hand off the bag of mail to the next rider, and they would get from point, they would get all the way across the country, just doing it that way. But like I said, it only lasted like 18 months, and trains and things like that came along. But there's just so many things that are always changing. I just use these examples, like telegraphs. Morse code was a way to communicate. Eventually, the phones came along, and even the cell phones, where we now have our smartphones today. Things like fax machines, where back in when fax machines, well, we know if fax machines first started out, it would take an hour or two to get a fax, and today it's instant, with email. And then of course radio, again, progression to today where we have internet and everything going on, and so fast forward, uh, there is constant change, and that's my point is, uh, us as individuals have to accept that. We cannot be complacent and just wanting to settle for, oh, I just want things to stay the same. And I'm talking about positive, movement, not negative things. But so you cannot settle for complacency. You cannot be complacent with your life. Embrace positive change, and you must embrace the journey to achieve your goals. That's the whole. All of us have goals in life, be it family, professional, other things that are going on. So you have to embrace the change in your life, whether you like it or not. Sometimes we don't like change. There's a lot of resistance to change. But the thing is, the environment we live in, we have to adapt to change. And so never, never, never quit. In our case, we're talking about, graduating, or, whatever your endeavor may be, you don't quit it.